You look at historical accounts of mankind, and there's always been a priest. You never watch a show, you never watch any of these good movies that we watch, these old epics, that they don't have a priest that is in control of mankind, and they're always after them to believe in that. And so there's always a practice of a religious system that's putting out a story of how creation took place. In this myth of Babylon, there was a goddess of the chaotic ocean sea. And this mystical epic is all about how this goddess conquered the seas. And in Babylonian mythology, they created a monster. See, when men create a god, they make the god look like how they picture God themselves. And this was a god of fresh water to produce younger gods. And it suggests that there are two parts of this mythology. And the part is there became a sacred marriage between the big god and the little god, and it produced salt and light and fresh water. And therefore, through this sacred marriage between salt and fresh water, peacefully creating the cosmos through succeeding generations. And so what started out as chaotic and roaming and tremendous darkness, when these two lesser gods got together, they created with salt and light in the water, and then everything became calm. Although there was no earthly precedent for any of this, some sources identify her with images of a sea serpent or dragon. And there's rarely ever a movie of epic proportion that you don't always see some person coming up out of the water. I mean, that's Greek mythology. And so by the time that Moses was writing Genesis, God said, let me give you the right account of what actually happened. In the ancient imagination, darkness was understood to be a problem. So, the creation of mankind, the creation of God in Genesis chapter 1, when God is on the scene, there is darkness. Now, darkness is the absence of light. Darkness is nothing. When there's nothing, there's no light. Light is what gives light to the darkness. And so Genesis is intended to communicate God's dominion over the goddess of darkness. The Babylonian mythology tried to figure a way out of how to get out of this darkness. They tried to figure out, because darkness to them was chaos, problems, difficulties, doom. And so they tried to create a means whereby mankind would not be in so much trouble and have so many problems. And so they would create other gods who they felt would be able to help them get out of darkness and be in the light. So when God had Moses to write the Bible, write the Genesis account, and how it was developed throughout the Old Testament, and to see how this light and darkness is going to show us why Christmas is so important to mankind. Number one, God creates light as something as an antidote to darkness. God has created light. Light comes from God. God did not create darkness, as it were. Darkness is an absence of. It is as if darkness is what exists apart from God. If God doesn't exist, then there's total darkness. Thus, darkness is a problem that needs to be contained. It is from here that the prolific concept of light and darkness, and light and darkness has always been perceived as good and evil. And in every movie, in every show, in everything, either something is good or it's bad. Either they dress in black or they dress in white. Light and dark, good or evil. By the way, there's no in between. No. Either you're dark, in darkness, or you in light. Now, of course, we always try to have a gray area. Well, in the absence of light, there is darkness. Philosophers and theologians say similar things about good and evil. Evil being the absence of good. Either you're evil or you're good. In the biblical sense. In the biblical imagination, let's look at Psalms chapter 89. Let's look at a few scriptures and see what the scripture says. Psalms chapter 89, and we're going to look at verse 15. Blessed are those who have learned to acclaim you, who walk in the light of your presence, Lord. The psalmist said, you are blessed abundantly if you're able to see the light. Either you see it or you don't see it. You may say, I don't see it. I don't have a clue what you're saying this morning. And you'd be right, because you're in darkness. Once you come to an understanding of the light of God, then you say, I see what you're saying. And the psalmist says, blessed are you who have the ability to see the light. Notice, if you will, Isaiah chapter 5. Isaiah chapter 5. And we're looking at verse 20. Notice what it says. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Now you know what I'm talking about. We call good evil, and we call evil good. It is amazing how many things that we know are evil, we have put a good idea on it. We enjoy evil. We enjoy things that we know is not good for us. But somehow we have kind of made it like it's okay to be evil occasionally. And so that's what's happening. Darkness has become light, and light has become darkness, and we get confused. So then, God creates light as something, as an antidote for darkness. So we need to come out of the light. We will stay in darkness. We'll stay in chaos. We'll stay with problems until we come to the light. You just got to see it. You don't see it. Some people just cannot see the mess they're in. You try and you try and you try to help people get out of their ways, and they say, what's wrong with my ways? I'm perfectly fine the way I am. And they don't see it for the darkness, but they're walking around in darkness of light. Secondly, light gives order to creation and makes life possible. Light gives order to creation and makes life possible. If we turn out all the lights and try to get out the door, I don't believe we'd all stumble on each other. Darkness is not a place that I want to be in. I've been in dark places before. Light is essential to the biological life. If there wasn't light, nothing would grow in darkness. So it's necessary for light to thrive and to flourish and to prosper. And the authors of Scripture recognizes it. The simple connection between light and life is developed throughout, especially in the Psalms, and comes to refer to not just a biological existence. Light and the sun give light, and light gives life. Very few things that I know grow in total darkness. And in the same sense, when we receive light, it gives us life. When we're able to see life in its fullest perspective, we come to the light, as it were. So light is life, indicates the vitality and the prosperity. Darkness, controversially, denotes death. He's coming to end of life. It's dark in here. Sometimes you'll see a person say, when they're getting ready to die, it's awful dark in here. Most of the time, when a Christian is dying, he sees light. And when an unsaved person dies, everything becomes cold and dark. In the Bible imaginary, Psalms 56 in verse 13. Notice what it says. I formed the light. I, being God, formed the light and created darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. Someone says, I can't believe God brings disaster. God is sovereign. If I was God, someone said to me earlier today, don't you get tired of being nice to bad people? Don't you just get tired of being nice to people you really don't like?